All the characters in the story are over 18 years old. My name is Alex. It's short for Alexis. I'm 22 years old and I just graduated from college. I am 5 feet 6 inches tall, with wavy brown hair. I used to do gymnastics. Have you ever noticed that the best gymnasts at the Olympic Games are all tiny? Anyway, I switched to football in high school. I wasn't good enough to make the college team, but I'm still in pretty good shape. Yes, I was very popular both in high school and college. I've never had a shortage of dates. I've dated a lot of guys and a couple of girls. No, I'm not a cheater. I should probably also mention that I broke up with my last boyfriend a couple of months ago, although it wasn't really that important. In fact, it was only temporary, and I really needed to spend my time preparing for the final exams. I didn't think about a career when I chose my specialty. It turns out that anthropology is not very popular among graduates. I probably should have gone into engineering or business, but I didn't think about it at the time. Fortunately, I believe that I have accidentally developed a new theory of human development that I can publish and receive funding for further research. More on this later. I have a younger brother. He is 18 years old and has just graduated from high school. He's a stereotypical nerd. He is 5 feet 8 inches tall, skinny, and very smart. He took math classes at a local college just for fun. He is interested in computers, video games, Star Wars, mathematics, and science. He's about as athletic as a kid who's trying to get back on his feet for the first time. He hangs out with his 3 best friends, who are just as nerdy as he is. Sherman, Ryan, and Mark have been Sam's best friends since elementary school. None of them had ever been involved in organized sports in their lives. Perhaps I should mention how they, being so unsightly, dealt with the horrors of the school locker room. It turns out that only 1 year of physical education is required in our state. On top of that, our school has allowed students to do this year online during the summer. So, armed with several golf clubs that my grandfather and parents owned, the 4 of them took golf lessons in the summer. No shared showers with alpha males on campus. As mentioned above, my degree is not one of the most sought after in the business world. That's why I returned to my parents' house when I was looking for a job right after graduation. Besides, my 18-year-old brother lives there. My parents had gone on a 2-week cruise the day before, leaving my brother and me alone in the house. I spent the morning sending resumes and cover letters to several different companies and posting resumes on several job search sites. Sam left about an hour ago. He said something about going to Sherman's with his friends for a long day of video games. He said he would probably spend the night there, so the house was at my disposal. It was a nice warm June day, and I've spent the last few weeks looking for work, but so far to no avail. To be honest, I was tired and discouraged. What I really needed was to relax and get some rest. Having made this decision, I went out into the backyard to the pool. Then I went to the kitchen and made a pitcher of margaritas. After drinking the first glass, I went up to my room to change my clothes. That's when I made my first mistake. I hadn't bought a new swimsuit in a couple of years, and I really didn't like the old one I had. Then it dawned on me that Sam had gone out for the night, and I had the whole house to myself. We had a tight privacy fence and no close neighbors, so what difference did it make if I was dressed or not? The decision was made. I took a couple of towels and went outside. After all, no one sees me. I jumped into the pool and swam for a while, and then went out to sunbathe. I must admit that I felt some excitement when I rubbed sunscreen into parts of my body that I usually don't apply it to. I applied sunscreen, put in my headphones, and pressed Pandora on my phone. That's how I spent the next couple of hours. I drink my margarita, swim in the pool, and listen to classic rock on the phone, not caring about anything. I went to pour another glass from the jug when I noticed that the jug was empty. Shit. I had to make another batch. With a jug in my hand, I opened the sliding door to the kitchen and came face to face with my goofy younger brother and his 3 friends. I just stood there like an idiot, with an empty jug in my hand and a deer expression in the headlights. They were standing there, fully dressed, with big smiles. "Hi, sis. We're here." Sam's words finally brought me out of my daze. Yes, I screamed. Finally, I got my brain to fire up the neurons again and asked the stupidest question ever. "How much have you seen?" At least he had the tact to blush. "Actually, we came back here half an hour ago. We were thinking of going for a swim, but then we saw you there. We kind of thought it would be rude to bother, so we just watched how long you'd be there. What about the fact that you all hold your mobile phones in your hands, which record videos? The phone? Oh wow. It's really weird. I do not know how it got into my hands. Yes, that's right. You were just filming a hummingbird feeder and accidentally caught me in all my glory while I was sunbathing. Yes, that's all. I didn't even notice that you were in the frame. Oh shit. Anything. There's no point locking the barn door after the horses have escaped. I muttered. Just no, I said, looking at each of them in turn. If even one of these videos ever gets out, I will subject each of you to a slow, painful death. I received assurances from all four of them that they would never show anything to anyone. Yes, they were really afraid of me for a good reason. Well, it's impossible to see more than you've already seen. So if you want to swim, put on your swimming trunks and go. I'm going to mix another margarita and come back. For pairs of legs went up the stairs to change their clothes. I was lying on my stomach a couple of minutes later when I heard four splashes. I just lay there, ignoring them, while they splashed around. A few minutes later, a shadow fell over me. Hi, Alex. It looks like you're starting to get a little fried on your back there. Do you want me to put some sunscreen on you so you don't burn out? And then I'll give you a massage? Sherman asked. By this time, I had already drunk a few margaritas and felt a little relaxed, so I agreed. They were not mistaken. I was on fire with desire. Turn over, Alex. There was a tiny echo in my brain that protested, telling me to stop it before it went too far. I turned over automatically. It was obvious that they were inexperienced, but that didn't mean they were ineffective. Wow, sis. It was pretty impressive. After a few minutes, they left me to recover and jumped back into the pool. I joined them a little later. We spent several hours playing, splashing on each other, playing beach ball and just having fun in the pool. I liked it. After all, it's time to get out of here. Sam asked if his friends could stay for dinner, and I agreed. I said I would go up to my room to get dressed, and they all expressed their disapproval. Look, you've all had a whole day to stare at me. Besides, if you think I'm going to be standing over the stove cooking dinner while hot fat is splashing on me, then I don't think so. Sherman, Mark, and Ryan looked at Sam. Obviously, they worked out a plan while I wasn't around. Alex, we were talking. I looked at Sam with some skepticism. We want to ask if you would agree to stay for the next 2 weeks while Mom and Dad are away. It's just going to be us, and there's nothing to do with us, but we really just want to watch. You said yourself that we've already seen everything. As for cooking, you can wear one of Mom's aprons at this time. To tell the truth, I even like the idea. Just you and no one else? And do you promise never to show these photos or videos to anyone? They really looked offended. How could I have imagined that they would reveal their secret? Well, maybe just a pizza delivery guy. We were thinking about ordering pizza tonight, and since you have a credit card, you'll open the door for pizza. I smiled back. It wouldn't be the first pizza I've made. Once it happened because of a lost bet with an ex-boyfriend, and the other case was a call from my college roommates. There were cheers when I agreed. The pizza was ordered, and we sat in the living room and watched TV while we waited. I was sitting on the couch between Ryan and Mark. The doorbell roused me from my reverie. It's showtime, sis. Go get the pizza. Sam grinned. I opened the door wide so that I could see everything. Is this my pizza? I asked. I looked at myself as if I didn't know anything. It is, I replied. Anyway, is this the pizza I ordered? She was just looking at me. She looked into my eyes from time to time. Pizza. Do you have the pizza I ordered? She finally came to her senses and looked at the boxes in her hands as if they had magically appeared. Oh yeah. Here's the pizza you ordered. Everything will be fine. She had to look at the ticket again. $34, please. Okay, I replied. I turned around and took a couple of steps to where my purse was on the floor. I told her to keep the change for herself, and I took the pizza myself. What do you like? I asked as she just stood there and watched. Finally, she looked into my eyes. I saw the look in her eyes. You have 1 minute to hold on to whatever you want, I said. I finally managed to pull her away from me after I gave her my phone number for later and take the food to the kitchen. By that time, we were all very hungry, so the guys managed to keep their hands to themselves while we ate. I had a glass of wine with my meal. They limited themselves to water and soft drinks. The food was gone. The plates were in the dishwasher, and we returned to the living room. That's when I found myself in the position I wrote about at the beginning of this story. At some point before that, my brother asked me about the toys I have. It took a few minutes before my brain started working again. I opened my eyes and was amazed at the sight that opened in front of me. All four guys were standing in front of me. Really? What are you waiting for? An engraved invitation? After going downstairs, we relaxed a little. I had another drink and drank a large glass of water to clean myself up. In the end, I recovered enough to continue. The next, late morning, I woke up. It was then that I had an epiphany. My thoughts returned to the study of Darwinism. Something was nagging at the edge of my consciousness, but it wasn't clear. I needed caffeine. I went down to the kitchen and put on the coffee maker. I put on an apron and made a big breakfast for the boys. I smiled, deciding to get high on protein. I don't even remember going to bed that night. All I remember is that the next morning I woke up very sick and alone. In the kitchen, I found a note from Sam saying that they were staying at Sherman's for the day and would be back the next day after lunch. They seemed to realize that I would need at least a day to rest and recover. After breakfast, I took out my books and went online to do some research. I spent the whole day on my new project. I made detailed notes about what I had experienced and what I had read. The more research I did, the more worried I became. My theory began to take shape. It was late at night when I finally fell asleep on my bed from exhaustion. The next morning, I woke up early from excitement. I had just started sketching out my research plan when Sam and his friends came over. It took 6 days to write my theory, experimental sketches, and proposal. In the end, I had to take a 2-day break. Dr. Louise Selman was the head of the Department of Anthropology. To say that she was skeptical that a recent graduate with a bachelor's degree has a pioneering theory of evolution would be a mild understatement. On the other hand, she was a 46-year-old divorced woman with a beautiful body, with no free time for relationships and a high libido. She also had very high moral standards that forbade her from any indecency with students or other staff. 2 days later, I met her at the airport. When she came into my house and found herself confronted by half a dozen skinny nerds. I hope there won't be an investigation into the 6 academic scholarships she suddenly approved that weekend, including for a pizza delivery girl with questionable academic qualifications. I dropped Professor Selman off at the airport about 30 minutes before my parents returned. Sam and his friends aired the house and cleaned everything before we arrived. My parents were thrilled that I decided to take a fully funded doctoral program and continue my education. They were somewhat disappointed that the subject of my research was secret, but they eventually came to terms with that too. Was it my fault that they assumed it was related to the government? They were also happy that I would be looking after Sam, as he would join me at the same school and live with me in my fully funded apartment. We forgot to tell them that his new girlfriend, yes, the same pizza delivery girl, will also be living with us. Coaches Tomlinson and Samuels, football and basketball, respectively, found it a little difficult to convince that their players could participate in my research. So, you ask yourself, where is this theory? Don't bother looking for it. It will never be published. It's too scandalous to publish. It would also destroy all the assumptions and social norms we have about alpha males. Therefore, my work was hidden as much as possible. After all, if my theory becomes well known and accepted, the very definition of an alpha male will change. So, here's what I found. The reason why so-called weak and skinny nerds have survived for centuries is because nature has endowed them with an equalizer. In addition, the ingrained thinking of alpha males prevents them from learning how to please their partners in other ways. The typical alpha male is programmed to think only about his own pleasure and ignore the pleasure of his partner. So, here it is, ladies. My research has shown that those you rejected in high school as unworthy of you are actually the ones you should have followed. Not only do they have more gear than the football players you were chasing, they also have compassion and an understanding that your pleasure is paramount. My research continues.